Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. My name is Sagheer Mufti. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for HBL. I'm here to share with you 4 points on digitization of Pakistan and cybersecurity and how they're interconnected. I'm happy to report to you that the first thing to know is Pakistan is on the move. Pakistan today is very much digital. I'm happy to share with you over 150 million users exist today in Pakistan for mobile phones, out of which about 70 million are 3G and 4G users, which means that they have smartphones. That's a very powerful thing to have in your hand wherever you are and whenever you want to do something. But digitization has a cost. We have to ensure that we take the confidence building measures to give comfort to the users of the services by having cyber security. Cyber security is key to them feeling comfortable doing their financial transactions, looking at their financial records and their health records, or undertaking anything personal which they want to keep protected from the public eye. So financial or non-financial information needs equal protection, and cybersecurity plays an important role in that. Data is something we all talk about a lot. Data is easy to gather, but it's very hard to secure. Cybersecurity is needing to be used to ensure the right protection for customer data that the customer trusts our organizations with, customer trusts your organizations with. We have to understand we are in the 5th generation of warfare. What do I mean by that? There's the hybrid warfare. It can be conventional, maybe nuclear, but more important can also be cyber. Cyber warfare is undertaken for its psychological impact. Imagine a whole country or a whole city going dark because of a cyber attack on a power company. Or its impact on bringing down the financial services of a country, bringing down the clearing house of a country. Imagine what that's done to the economy. And then lastly, we also have to be ready for pure cyber warfare now. Cyber warfare has economic impact, it has political impact, and it can have physical impact. So cybersecurity plays a bigger and bigger role as an economy starts to digitize, like Pakistan's economy today is digitizing. We need to start understanding that the middle of the road methods will not work. We have to have very strong security, and we all have to believe in it. In the global index, Pakistan is somewhere in the middle. Out of 165 countries, we rank around 70th for seriousness in applying cybersecurity. As our economy digitizes, as our businesses digitize, as our individuals become more comfortable using digital channels, we cannot be at this number. We have to ensure we have higher level of focus on cyber, and we are able to demonstrate that there is confidence in our system. Our users can use our digital channels effectively, whether it's in retail, whether it's in healthcare or financial services. We also have to accept that state terrorism through cyber is a reality. It's an unfortunate reality of the world we live in today, and Pakistan's geography unfortunately lends itself to such state terrorist attacks. So it is not only a business issue, it is also a national issue. And you and I together need to work to ensure we keep Pakistan safe, Pakistanis safe, and our businesses safe. On looking at the number of financial transactions now, there are about 48 million financial wallets, mobile wallets in Pakistan. That's a lot of information somebody can get into to misuse. We do about 4.5 million branchless banking transactions per day. That's a large number of flows, financial flows now taking place through digital channels, and they all need production. They all need to be secure. So what do we do about this? I think you have to start at the national level. I'm not passing the buck, but unless we have a framework at the country level, we will not be able to achieve the level of appropriate security for cyber that we need. What does a digital Pakistan look like? I think there are 5 priorities. Access. The first thing is we have to commit to giving internet access to every Pakistani. That's important because that's the railroads you lay for digital. Second thing is digital infrastructure. What does that mean to you? Build a Pakistan where you are able to build a Pakistan stack. The government, the business, the startups, all on similar digital railroads. Like I said, for example, internet. With the same 3 objectives. Paperless, presenceless, and available for a cashless society. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we trade too much in cash. That has to change because it is not convenient for the consumer. It is expensive for the business, especially small businesses. So if you are interested in our agri businesses, if you're interested in our SMEs, we have to help them improve their productivity by having less cash transactions for them. Next is e-government, third pillar. In e-government, the relationship intra-government between the government departments has to become paperless. Data availability has to be more seamless. Between government and the businesses and the individuals, transactions have to start taking place through digital channels on the same principles, paperless. If we are able to achieve that, we will be moving the country forward. And then training. None of this is going to happen without the right skill set. Our current crop of talent and our future generations, they have to be equipped with the right education in technology, in cyber, and digital to be able to effectively harness the power of this medium. And lastly, I think innovation and entrepreneurship. We have to make it easy for people to bring in investments into these sectors, to be able to move those investments around, to get the maximum benefit for themselves and the economy. The economy will win, they will win. We have to develop the right mechanisms to make it easy for technology related investments to have a boost to our GDP growth. So with that, I'm going to move to the next section which I would like to talk about. What is the impact of cybersecurity on a business? Unfortunately, it's huge. The first one is reputation damage. We underestimate what it does if your business goes offline for an hour to a day to many days. What does that do to the confidence of the customers who deal with you? Their ability to get services from you, their ability to undertake services which affect them, whether it's ability to do a financial transaction and they can't because you have a cyber attack going on. If somebody needs to make an emergency payment to buy some goods in a business house, they can't buy those goods. Or if you have to, at a hospital and your medical records cannot be accessed by a doctor and you have a critical medical issue, how do you deal with that? So reputation damage is the first thing we all need to start understanding. Second thing is those who are working are in business. Those companies which are down because of a cyber attack are not in business. What happens to you vis-a-vis your competition? Those who are operational win. The competitor gets your business. You don't want someone else to take your pie of the share. Small businesses on average pay $100,000 in ransomware. That's the number globally. So it's an expensive thing. If you get attacked, ransomware costs you $100,000. 50% of the businesses don't have the budget to recover from a serious cyber attack. So your ability to withstand the attack and come back up as a business is at risk. The average cost of a data breach is about $4 million, believe it or not, on an end-to-end basis. By the time you're done with stopping the attack, addressing the issues the attack has created for you, and then building the right capabilities not to be attacked again, is about $4 million. So it's an expensive thing to do. We need to ensure we understand this for all sectors of the economy. Coming closer to heart, to my sector, financial services. What does it mean for a bank? What does it mean for a bank's customer? So there are 4 types of typical cyber security topologies we need to be concerned about. Social engineering, cyber attacks, carding, and scamming. Why do they happen? Complex operating models, non-agile processes, customer education. At times customers voluntarily share information out of innocence, and lack of predictive analysis. You have to get ahead. You have to have the ability to forecast. You have to look at trends to be able to see how you are able to prepare well for preventing an attack and pushing back. But there are challenges. It's easier said than done. It's not just that simple that we know what the topologies are and how we can try to address them. Lack of documented processes, that's a very important issue. At a national level, we need to have frameworks, and at company level, we need to have frameworks. Root cause analysis. You have to learn from every attack. You have to learn from every problem that you face. If you don't get to understand the real reason it happened, it can happen to you again. And most companies don't have the right capability to do root cause analysis in this space. Not adopting to some of the digital technologies. There are more and more ways which are new, whether they come from a fintech or they come from an established player. We have to get the newer technologies to close the loopholes some of the legacy technologies present. And then lastly, silos. I start at a country level. At a country level, we have to have a view what type of cyber activity is taking place. Then that can be broken down by different segments of the industry. They can be broken down by different segments of society to be able to address them the right way. I think we need to think through about how at a national level governments produce the right capabilities to get information, analyze it. I think by industry, we need to have industry bodies creating a public-private sector partnership model to work with the government agencies who do this at industrial level. So for example, in banking, the Pakistan Bankers Association working with this agency, or the Pakistan Banking Council working on behalf of the manufacturing concerns with this agency. And then at company level, inside the company, the corporate business, the retail business, the agri-business, each of them are equally exposed to this risk. So they need to ensure that at each company, in each business, we are able to learn lessons, use data from across the company to present and prevent attacks. In banking, I would like to share with you a little bit about what's called social engineering, because that's the most important form of attacks we are seeing in the Asia Pacific region. From a Nigerian prince sending a letter for what's known as a 419 special to the double Shah. You find them everywhere in the world. They're very sophisticated. They know how to manipulate the psychology of an investor. They know how to put forward a very convincing case of why they're a good partner to do business with, when effectively it's a Trojan house. They're trying to get into you and your business to steal from you. That's social engineering. In Pakistan, in banks, we have seen calls going to customers from people pretending to be officers of the legal LEAs, the law enforcement agencies, people pretending to be the officers of the State Bank of Pakistan, the tax department, military officers, banking officers. Customers are made to be convinced that they're dealing with some authority and they should share their information. And customers share that information, which allowed them to be hacked. It's a very common method of social engineering, and we need to ensure we deal with this very effectively. In Pakistan, in banking system, in a year, I think at least and this is my guess, it's a guesstimate, ₹1 billion gets lost through frauds, through such mechanisms. Now what can you do about it? There are 4 or 5 key things, starting with customer education and customer awareness. The more you partner with your customer, the more you keep them informed of these issues, the better the customer will be ready when such attacks are made on them, when somebody undertakes social engineering to try to convince them to part with their password, to part with their financial information or personal information. Building a operating system for frauds in the company, putting data together, people together to understand the trends in frauds and forecast how to change them and stop them. Third would be around working with the law enforcement agencies. At HBL, we are very fortunate to have forged a very strong alliance with the LEAs. We thank them for the effort they're making on our behalf and the way they're partnering with us. And it has led to success. Many of you may have seen it on television or in the newspapers, the busting of some gangs who were involved in cyber warfare against banks. And it's amazing what came out of those arrests and the type of sophisticated equipment that they had, which they were using to attack banks. So I think the better the relationship between the LEAs and the banks, the more protection we can give ourselves and our customers. And then lastly, root cause. Very important to buy the tools, develop the skill sets of the people on doing root cause analysis to prevent future, so that the same patterns are not repeated again and again against you. You're able to put a stop to them. So, I've talked a lot about the past, what's already happened to us. We talked about Pakistan being on the move. I want to close by just saying this problem is not going away. So if I was to make a bit of a prediction for the future, this is a serious issue and it requires serious focus and attention and the best mind to deal with it. Between 20 and 25, the forecast is for cybersecurity financing and spending to increase to about $1 trillion in the world. That shows you large resources are being deployed and are going to be deployed to deal with this problem. The companies like Microsoft are looking at investing over $1 billion in R&D in the next 5 years for cybersecurity. In the space for ransomware, there is a huge increase. There has been an increase of over 50% in ransomware attacks. This problem is here and we have to beat it. For a while it's there to stay. We as an industry in financial services, I think we as a community partnering with our law enforcement agencies, business houses, together as the ecosystem have to push back, and then I think we'll start getting a control over cyber attacks. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. Enjoy the rest of the session.